We got the dad socks.
Don't have dad socks.
I thought I saw you post the dad socks. You have a pair, don't you?
He sells them.
Oh, you were sharing. You were promoting, like you were maybe. No?
What?
I thought you were supporting, or maybe just shared his post.
No, I didn't. I had a friend that got me a pair.
Oh, the shoes you got.
Yeah.
Damn. I always thought you had the socks. Nice.
I
Yeah, I
want
got
the
a pair of
socks,
the
but I
shoes.
don't know if I'm willing to pay $75 for 3 pairs
Yeah,
of
I was
socks.
looking at the
I
socks.
know.
How are the shoes?
They're pretty cool. They're interesting. The toe box is a little funky, like up here. Just the shape of it.
Yeah, that looks a little weird.
Yeah,
Just point your toe, Dave. You know how to do it.
it's the material.
Banana shape.
But I love the suede because it has the suede heel cap and
Nice.
like the suede through here, all through
Oh
here.
yeah, nice.
3 pairs of laces.
It's the
I got, like,
jazz
a bunch of-
silhouette, right?
Huh?
The jazz silhouette.
Yeah. She got a bunch of notebooks.
That was part of his ConferenceCon drop, the notebooks too?
Yeah, got a kickball.
Oh damn.
Oh
Nice.
shit.
I got pencils, pens. I got
Was someone there?
a bunch
Did
of
you know-
erasers.
Did you know someone at, like, was that from ConferenceCon or was it online?
It was at Complex Con.
Nice,
I had a friend that was good enough to lend an assistance.
I feel like this might have been the year to go, like, because of the buildup of 2 years, like of like maybe people were like putting in extra effort. Did you get a review of the event?
I mean, it didn't seem like they had, like, for me, I don't know. Like I don't get a good sense because I'm not like following clothes that much. I don't get a sense of what was there clothing wise. It didn't seem like there were enough or any interesting shoe drops there, which I think happened probably mostly in, what was it, 2018 or 2019, that year. So like, I think every year, that for me, that's kind of like what I think about when I think about Complex Con, is like, okay, what exclusive drops are going to be there. Other than that, it doesn't really do anything for me. I mean, maybe seeing the panels and stuff, but then they're kind of corny too at the same time, right? Like,
Seems like the
everything that
sneaker
I wanna
drops
see.
are
What?
the sneaker drops seem like the most stressful part. So like I'm almost like, if there were no hype ones, like no SBs, no, what was it, diamonds and stuff like that, and they shut it down, like it seems like,
And the Kennedy retro
Yeah.
high-end,
Yeah.
whatever.
I feel like if it's
That's what
just
it
like
was,
more
all
chill
those.
people, and I don't know, I know nothing about it. I know a guy who runs who has a couple brands, and he was on my podcast. He Jason Bitten, he does like what are those like Ninja Turtle jackets and shorts and stuff. Campout wears them all the time.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
that brand?
Chalkline?
Yeah.
Chalkline,
I
yeah.
think he like works with Chalkline, and their booth looked just like cool. It was just like, like not crazy, but like people were there and like chopping.
And I like that. I prefer that. It didn't seem to be like there wasn't too much like super hype stuff. There were those
Yeah.
Sauconys, there were the those matchas, those pigeon
Yeah.
matchas that I want. And I'm probably gonna sell some things to get those. And so it seemed like, yeah, it really seemed like the year to go. It seemed like it wasn't too crazy. So probably should have went, but oh well.
Yeah, and they had the guy with the Adidas. What was his name? He was on the Complex shoe.
Kerwin Frost.
Yeah, like I mean, I didn't like
Yeah.
the shoes, but it seemed like a cool thing. Like he was DJing. It was like that type of low key kind of, and like people are probably more chilled. There's probably stricter rules, maybe even. I don't know what it's like in Cali these days, but
Yeah, I mean, Complex Con for me has always been more art specific. Like, there's a lot of artists who drop cool stuff there that I would much rather go for. The shoes are. I'm not gonna fight 500 dudes for 5 pairs of shoes. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So I'd go for the art and just for like the conversation as opposed to the shoes. I actually, the fact that there wasn't a lot of shoes dropping made it so much more enticing for me. Like, I was like, hell yeah, I'll definitely, like, the shoe part actually becomes a turnoff for me, because I'm like I don't want to deal with the hassle. Like, too old for that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
They're, especially when they're very upfront. There's 50 pairs of shoes. The line is a gazillion people long. That's a fight waiting to happen. We all know it's going to happen. And then when it breaks out and they all get canceled, people just get tight and angry. And I'm like, I'm gonna go over here by the Hebrew Brantley piece, or Distorted was there. She dropped a bunch of cool stuff, which I would like. That would have been so much more interesting for me. I can get to the shoes. I'll get to them later, but I just the shoe part of Complex Con, at least for the last couple of years, have been a turnoff.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the problem for me with the shoe part is just I don't like, and I think Trinidad shoe is going to get a wider release. I think it's coming like a week or two or something, but I don't like when it's just an exclusive, a Complex Con exclusive, and then like you're never going to see it again. Like, I think for me, that's probably what would be a turnoff, just because, like, I mean, if you want to offer some special packaging or branding or something, like, or a special box at Complex Con, that's cool. But like, as far as the shoe itself, like, I wouldn't want to fight anyone either. I would, if I was out there, I'm like, I'm not going for the shoe. Like, I wouldn't go just for the shoes. I would go, like you said, for other things. But I think the shoes are the only thing that sort of interest me from afar.
Right.
Like, I'm not really drawn. Like, I can't experience a booth like remotely. So in that sense, like, I don't care who had a booth and who like posted whatever. It doesn't matter to me because I'm not there. If I'm there, I think that's more of like something that would entice me. But I wouldn't want to spend my whole time in line or fighting someone to get a shoe. That would be like a waste of a trip, I think.
Yeah.
Next year we won't have to go there. You're right. It'll be all virtual. It'll be like what, the metaverse? I'm trying to explain to my son what the metaverse is. I don't know what it is, but it sounds like that's what it would be. Something like where you don't have to leave your house and get to go to Complex Con, right?
Hosted by Zuckerberg.
For real. Start working on your avatar. You got to buy all your Steve Z NFTs, your Nike NFTs, your art NFTs, just to make sure your room looks right,
By the way, I'm putting it on the record. Someone said that there was an Adidas drop today of like a token type of thing. When you go to confirmed, they gave you something like a NFT type of thing. I don't think it was an NFT. But before I heard that, I looked at that the way Ronnie was holding up the ASIC. So I want to put on the record, I'm predicting it's an NFT because he's holding it up like a. It just made me think, like, what's he gonna give people, right? I tagged you guys in that thing, but anyway, I might be jumping the gun on your topics.
I don't think I have Ronnie on. No, Ronnie's not on my list. Since that came out just today.
Yeah, and we'll know pretty soon what it's all about, right?
Yeah, we just got in the game heavy. I mean, the post with him and Fanalations yesterday, getting coached on what bait.
I didn't even think of that. I forgot.
He's just getting started.
I forgot. I saw that. So, but in the back of my head, for sure that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, he said I just bought those. What are they?
The yacht club. The yacht club apes.
And those are the ones that the guy, who's the Stadium Goods guy, he keeps posting about how much money he's making on them. Yu Ming. He keeps saying those same ones that I think Franelation turned on. Are those Franelations actual? Is it his NFTs? No,
he's just been on that tip for a long time. So like since it started.
Ronnie just bought them. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, he bought like 2 or 3 of them, which I mean they're pricey.
It's all making sense. GLV NFT, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, man.
The Ronnie NFT is coming up. It is.
Damn, I forgot about that. Day before he did that, it totally makes sense now.
That'd be disappointing to people, but I don't.
Totally disappointing. I'd be so mad. Be like, I saved these.
I would be so pissed.
But like the Campo, Mike, he's got like did you see him today? He's like,
he's got everything. He's got everything.
He gets an NFT. Fuck.
He's got everything.
Better than nothing. NFT will be free and it'll be worth something. So if it is, I mean.
Yeah, people are gonna flip them if they get something. So it's whatever. I just hope that he gives. I've never gotten access to a Ronnie ASICs ever. I have a ton of Ronnie ASICs, but they've all been like bought through someone else. So I wish there was someone that would help out. I had Salmon Toe 2.0s and I sold them. It was just a shoe that I didn't wear enough. I really liked it, but I just couldn't justify like having $1,000 shoe that I wore like twice a year and then just would sit there and look at it, right? And like, I'd be so paranoid when I wore it. And I was just like, I'm not going through this. Like, I'm just gonna sell it. So I sold it and I used it to make some hoodies. So whatever. But yeah, so it's great to have everybody back. I feel like I haven't talked to everybody in a while, except Ricco I've talked to a little bit recently, and Jon, but James, I haven't talked to you like in a while. It feels like you've been away or I've been away or something.
Yeah, man. Since Ghost Hunters was going on, it got crazy. And then I jumped into a new show that's been just as hectic. So I've literally been like, this is I finally got a hiatus week. So I finally calm down. So this hit perfect.
No night shoots?
Not yet. Hopefully not.
Shoot Ghost Hunters in the daytime?
No, that was at night. That's why I couldn't get on.
Oh,
It was always so late.
Yeah.
I mean, we shot stuff in the daytime, yes, but not the actual hunt.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, so I wanted to talk first about the Astroworld fallout. And I know everyone's been talking about it, and it's been sort of like this every day. It seems like there's like a new development, and there's like new information or whatever. Stuff that I watch on it, like I think I was watching the sneak this Monday, and it was like out of date already. Like the things that they were saying were like stuff that didn't even had been disproved, or like there was new information or whatever. And so like it's been pretty interesting, especially now since we saw that like Nike canceled or postponed the Air Max 1 drop. I saw that today someone, or there has been like a joint lawsuit, right, against Travis. Actually, Apple Music too is in that, which is crazy. Travis Scott, Drake, Live Nation, Apple Music for like $750 million, which is nuts. It's just
why don't they just sue
nuts.
Nike? They helped create the hype. They might as well sue them, throw them in the lawsuit too. They had nothing to do with the event. They weren't
whoever, throw everybody.
Who else needs to be sued is the city of Houston. But I mean, I guess we'll get into that. Like, because they had all the power in the world to stop the show, and they did not. And so I mean, it's been, I've obviously like been swept up in it. You know, I am a fan of Travis's music, and people thought I was dumb because this is really the culture that he helped create, right? Like him, Cardi, and Uzi, like with their raging at the shows, creating all this stuff, but without really knowing what moshing is about. Like Travis has a line, "Ain't a mosh pit if ain't no injuries." Like that's not how mosh pits work. But I mean, that's kind of aside from the point. Just
it's not though, ironically, because they used lyrics in his song as part of their case in the lawsuit, which I read this today, which is crazy, right? So like they're basically saying, well, you incited this based on your lyrics, based on your past, actions. So it's also, I feel for Travis. Like I think a lot of people have like tried to make it so that it's like, oh, they're piling on Travis, and I'm like, they're not, because there's no one else that has had 10 people die at a show in like the last 10 years, right? Or last
and if it has
right?
happened, I mean, like Pearl Jam had 11 people die years ago, but that was like, a mudslide, and that was also a crowd crush, and they were obviously very open and upfront. I think the more and more I'm hearing about it, I feel like the less and less it's on Travis. Like
I agree with that.
There's so many other aspects at play. Now, is Travis devoid of fault? Absolutely not. Like I know people that are like, oh, that it's not Travis because it's not his job to be a babysitter. I'm like, if you're not gonna at least be aware of what's going on in the crowd at anywhere you're performing, you should not be a performer. That's period. if you're not gonna at least be aware or listen, because I think people were, I think, trying to communicate like, hey, something's wrong here, something's wrong in the audience, and he didn't really heed that, or maybe there were some other things going on, but the crowd is least of all the responsibility of the performer, but is still a responsibility of the performer. But there are, I mean, again, I think the city of Houston, I think Live Nation, I think obviously the people in the crowd that were just raging and all pushing forward and all crowd crushing. I mean, and I rewatched some of the set because it is on YouTube, and it's for not to be like, oh, it's this awesome Travis Scott show, but to be like, hey, it's timestamp. I can't remember. It was like this Brazilian dude. He timestamped it like to show this is where the ambulance came in. This is where Travis pointed a dude out. This is where all this stuff happened. And you're watching it, and the crowd literally looks like waves of water, which is, it's fucking horrifying. It's like, nope. That like goes to show that no one has, and excuse my language, it just goes to show that no one has any control of what their body is doing. They're just all kind of clumped in this space. And again, the tweets with Travis like, oh, we're bringing a few extra ragers in, the show's sold out, but I got some extra tickets for y'all. It's like, if the show was sold out, it should have been sold out. Like, there's a reason you have an allotted number of tickets to sell. So it's I least of all, it's on Travis. How it affects his shoes, I don't think it's going to. I think how it affects his career, I give it at least a year and a half before Travis performs again, before he considers performing again. I think him and his team have to really, really sit down and be like, see what can we do, what went wrong here, what do we have to do going forward, because I do think that Travis he definitely wants his shows to be a safe place. I don't think he's this crazy psycho villain that everyone makes him out to be. I really do think that, and now I don't know what part of him, but I really do think that there is a part of him that wants his shows, like, he wants people to rage and he wants people to do all this stuff, but he wants people to be safe. I don't think there's malicious intent here. So as far as how that affects the sneakers, I mean, the videos of people like throwing away their Travises and throwing away his merch, like it's just foolishness.
It's for
like,
clout, bro. They're doing
it's for clout. You're going back and getting it. Like, it just is what it is. But I mean, Nike postponing the shoe, probably, I mean, I think it's probably the best move. It's such a dicey thing. I mean, even if
money move.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's the right room. It just shows, I mean, for one, Nike's reading the room. Like, hey, not the time, relax. Like, there are things happening here that are bigger.
I think Nike even could have been like, hey, well, the proceeds of this shoe are going to go to the families, they're going to go to this, they're going to go to that. But I think it probably, as far along as they were in production, as they were in the release, it's probably difficult for Nike to be like, oh, by the way, all the proceeds for this shoe are going to go to charity, and they have to kind of work it out in that way.
They can do what they want. I think the Nike's smart. They know the damage control. You just postpone it. You don't say anything, right? You don't issue a press release. That's why Travis is being so quiet. This is all damage control, right? He did his apology, and people troll, and like, you're not going to hear anything from him for a while. I think you're right. I don't know when he'll perform, but I mean, and we could argue all day about whose fault it is. But one thing I wanted to say about, and I don't want to pick on the kids, but we've all been to concerts where it's kind of like, okay, I better get out of this mosh pit. Or like, I remember when I was a kid, we went to see DOS FX and Onyx, and DOS FX was supposed to be the headliner, and for some reason they put on Onyx on last, and the crowd went crazy when Onyx. And I'm like a 14-year-old kid, and I remember being like scared. I was like, I don't belong here, like, this is too much for me. So we left, and the crowd, when you see them jumping the gates and you see them trampling each other coming in, that was for the merch, I think, and then jumping, it wasn't even for the show. You have to think about what's in these kids' heads. Do their parents know where they are? That's another issue. But do they care? Do they care about each other? Do they care? is it a bigger reflection on, I don't want to pick on the next generation, but we know what, not what the, I don't want to blame the music, just the things we worry about when we look at young people. Is this, and this is a huge question, we want to talk about sneakers, but it comes into the whole reselling, hype beast, I don't care, image, you know, I'm just there because my friends are there. I mean, we did that when we were kids, but it just makes me think it's a reflection, in part at least, of the kids.
Well, what gets me going is that, I mean, it's not like the writing wasn't on the wall. We're talking about 21 years ago, Woodstock. I mean, I'm gonna get old head real quick for a minute, but we saw Woodstock 99, which was just as bad as this. You know what I mean? It was just as bad. And the fact that they didn't learn from that is astonishing. It just blows my mind. Like they went for 6-foot fences instead of 8-foot fences. They try to do this as cheaply as possible. It was all a money grab. Let's make as much money. Let's not have even the right amount of security. The promoters are, for me, the promoters hold most of the liability for this, because they should fucking know better. And they should have known when Travis tweeted out, where everybody's getting in. Like, that's the moment. We're in a crisis situation. Chief of police, I need your help here now, because this is about to get real. We already know what's going to happen. The moment he said that, they didn't do that. Travis was already on stage when they declared it a crisis situation. It's already happening. If you watch the footage of it, the wave, like, it's hard. Travis does hold responsibility here for some things, right? I'm not saying that he doesn't hold any, but an artist feeds off of his crowd, and the crowd is what he feeds off of. So the more that this show goes, it's not like he's out there specifically looking for people that are down. You know, you hope that he is looking for them, and then if he sees it, he calls it out. You want that to be the truth. But when he's vibing, he's in the mood, you see, like, Jonathan Davis of Korn said this best, Woodstock was a nightmare. Woodstock was a mess. He said it was the craziest thing he's ever seen. He saw waves. He could hear the echo as people were singing, as they went through crowds. He said it was the craziest thing I've ever been a part of, but it was the best performance I've ever given as an artist, right? And this is Woodstock 99. People died there. 3 people died, 1,200 plus people were injured or were, so it's not like this hasn't happened. It's been there, and it was an event of the same magnitude. Huge. So when it comes to what happened there, greed is what happened there, and greed caused a major failure in the production. And as a person who works in production, like, you've got to put these elements into the back of your mind. When one thing goes, everything will cascade and everything will happen. The second that they knew they were overrun, time to flag up. They should have stopped Travis's mic the second that they knew people were dying. Stop his mic and get people out there. I don't care if he says no. The same thing happened with not Jonathan Davis, but Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit. They begged him to stop with the rhetoric so he wouldn't get his crowd mad. But he would go out there and literally would be like, fuck that. I want to break shit and get people amped up and start ripping things off a wall. And he ended up crowd surfing on a piece of cardboard. If you haven't seen the documentary from Woodstock 99, I recommend you check it out, especially after what's happening right now, just to kind of get an insight of how it feels to be in that situation. You should check it out. But like, when I saw this happening, and my stepdaughter was there, so I was invested in what was really happening. But what was going on there, like, it's a shitty situation all around, but it wasn't like, it was there. It was obvious this shit was going to get bad. It was going to get really, really bad. And does Nike hold responsibility? No, but they were a part of it. They were doing props here and there. They were going to have little section elements of it, but is it completely their fault? Absolutely not. And it'd be ridiculous to say so. The sad thing that this has any type of reaction with sneakers is just an attachment to the fact that he's getting bad press, because it honestly has nothing to do with that. There's nothing to do with any of it. It's a poorly done production that is now, it's flowing into our space based on the nature of what Travis does. You know what I'm saying? If he wasn't signed with Nike, we wouldn't even be talking about it from this perspective. Of course, we'd be talking about how bad the situation is. But the only reason we're talking about Nike Travis is because people are worried that the value of his shoes are going to drop. Right.
How many of those kids probably had never been to a festival before and didn't even know what they
Why
were
was
doing?
there an 8-year-old kid there at that hour?
But even
Why?
if you're 15, right? It's been 2 years at least since they've been doing these festivals. So it's like,
right.
It's all these kids going in blind, and it's like the most hectic festival in a while. And yeah,
it's scary, man. I've been in pits where it gets I got so tight that I was like, I can't breathe anymore. Get me out of here. And I, bull rushed my way out of the scene, lost the shoe, lost the phone, found it at the end of the show. But damn, you know what I mean? Like, something that big, Like
I
when the ambulance or the whatever cart, the medic cart was coming through, like that's
the signal.
Lights on, turn the lights off, diffuse everybody, calm everybody down, and then let's situate it, and get it solved. But at the end of the day, it's terrible situation that that happened, and I feel sorry for everyone involved.
Yeah, the one thing that I was thinking, I think Ricco, you mentioned the city of Houston, is that Astroworld and Travis is he's basically a son of Houston, right? So like, I feel like if that concert had happened anywhere else, it probably would have went down differently. But because it was Houston, I feel like they give him so much leeway, right? They're like, Astroworld, this is our big thing, this is our moneymaker. We get so many tourists, we get so much attraction for this. We're gonna defer to Travis. We're gonna give him all the leeway that we can. And so to me, like that was probably like my first thought was like, oh, what happened in Houston? So, basically they kind of like gave him whatever leeway he needed, because probably if anybody had done something and shut it down too early, like, because obviously
we saw that happen. He got arrested once before for inciting a riot, and it wasn't in his hometown. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but the problem is he already done it. So they arrested him after the show. But to your point, I mean, of course, how much money was coming into that place?
Yeah, and I think if they had shut, like, nobody knows what happens. Like nobody's like, oh man, this 10 people would have died if we hadn't shut this down early. But the fact of the matter is they did shut it down. They didn't shut it down, right? So like, hindsight obviously is 2020, but if they had shut it down before people died, I think there would have been a bigger backlash that it was shut down premature.
There would have been a riot.
People would have been like, they shut it down, we were just having a good time, and then they had to shut it down, the Travis concert, because blah 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 blah, something rap music, whatever, right? And so there would have been a lot of pressure,
teenage angst.
Yeah, about the fact that he can't even be in his hometown without getting shut down, right? So like, I think there was a.
I hate to go back to that same documentary, but that's what happened in Woodstock. They stopped the concert. They stopped it, and people were like, "We paid good money to be here." So what did they do? They destroyed the place. They lit things on fire. It was just a rage. There's no, I mean, that would have happened. You know what I'm saying? People would have got mad, and I don't think at that point Rico's right. The city let it get to a point where it got to a point of no return, and we reached that point, and it went in a catastrophic way. And I think which way, the moment they saw the mad dash to enter the place, that's when they should have stopped. They should have stopped. They should have regathered themselves. They should have locked the doors, called the cops, and been like, "Hold on, stop now, turn the lights on, and let's see what's going on. Let's have a game plan and fix it." Instead of just being like, fuck it, we'll deal with it. Well, fuck it, we'll deal with it. Now, fuck around and you found out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all comes down to people, right? There's a cop or someone making a decision. And I heard some stories about people just showing their wristbands, not even really getting checked. And it reminded me of when I went to, Chappelle was in town the other day. And aside from the fact that it was interesting because the crowd felt different. We're not getting to Chappelle, but it felt different because it's been a while since I've been to a comedy show, and the Chappelle crowd is different. They're more, okay, we're going to say what we want. It's forget being woke. It's just be who you want to be. And there was a different tone, and there was a different feeling that was different there. And I imagine it was the same at the Travis show. But the person scanning, and I don't want to be a tight ass, but they make you come with your, at least in Toronto, they make you come with your double vax barcode. You can't go to Raptor game, you can't go to Leaf game, you can't go to a concert. They tell you, and most of the time they're really strict. And then so you go, the first step, there's huge lineups because it takes forever. And I got to the front, and there's huge line, and there's one girl taking it, there's one guy taking it, and the girl who was right in front of me, she had this iPad, and she didn't even use it. She was just, I was like, "Do you want this?" And she's like, "Go ahead." They didn't check my ID, didn't do anything. And like, imagine at a Travis show, like it's like,
And
there's
that's
nothing
not a
compare-
standing, that's
I
not
mean,
a standing arena
people.
or a venue.
Yeah, it's just
So like
people. If they don't
whoever's
care,
checking
yeah.
wristbands at, you know, making what, 15, 16 bucks an
Yeah,
hour, like are not gonna
exactly.
like, they're not gonna try to stop a mob of people from rushing in. It's like they're, what are they
Let's go
supposed to
ahead.
do at that
Yeah.
point?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, they don't think anyone's gonna die.
it was general admission, right? So it's like
Mhm.
basically whoever shows up and buys a ticket gets in, right? And there's no like, there's no structure, there's no real like capacity sort of boundaries that
Oh,
that
I
they're
mean,
setting.
there
I mean, there are, but
was supposed to be, because they had, I guess it was 2 years ago, they had 30,000 there. And then like, I think the capacity was for 50,000 and there was something like 100,000 people there. Like it was definitely not safe, and it wasn't, from what I know from the event, people that I've spoken to, like apparently the setup of like the configuration of the crowd to the stage, it was just a complete shit show. Like it should not have been. Apparently the configuration of the crowd to the stage was bad. Having that many people for one stage is dangerous. Like when you're at a festival, it's usually, you know, they'll have someone else on another stage. Like if Travis was here, Drake should have been there and they can go see Drake, or like, you know, like that way they kind of filter in and out of one another, but just not what happened here.
yeah. Is anybody buying a Travis shoe? Air Max 1, Travis Air Max 1 drops next week. We going after it, or we?
Well, they suck, so
I wasn't
no.
getting in the
But
first place. Yeah, wasn't even gonna try for it, even for resale.
James,
no.
what's up?
I've had them offered to me. I need to see them in hand, because from pictures they just look tough. I mean, I don't think I'm wearing them, but I would like to have them and trade them, because you know I can get something good for them.
I don't
They
think it's a
suck.
good
They're
shoe. I think
horrendous. No, it's bad. They're both
that's
awful.
my only thing. That's my thought about the Travis Air Max 1 is it's not a good shoe. It's kind of, I don't know. The reverse swoosh only worked on the Jordan, and it only worked like the 2 times that they did it. Like it's kind of,
I don't think it looks good on the Trainer 1 either, that are supposedly coming out, maybe not coming out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the branding on it was ugly. I asked this in the group, and a couple people told me that it was too early, but I don't think it's too early because we've been talking about the sneaker now. But I was wondering if you guys think it might affect the whole, because I think it's a given that with the Patas and the Travis, like Air Maxes, Nike's going to make a push, right? There's going to be an Air Max 1 kind of wave that they're going to try. I would guess, right, with these collabs. So I'm wondering.
I feel like Air Max 1s are never not like present,
but they're
I feel
not.
like there's always kind of a wave. No, not really. Yeah,
they're expensive.
But
yeah, they're
expensive.
expensive.
But like kids aren't looking for them.
Like they come out, you know, they had, what was it, 2020? Was it 2020 that they came out with all the anniversary pack? Maybe that was 2017.
Yeah,
but they had like the jewel swoosh pack, and they had Curry's. So I mean, Air Max 1s should always come out.
If you're
next
not
level though, next level.
If you're not like one of us though, if you're not like a diehard collector, you're not checking for Air Max 1s, right? Like I think like you have to be, like the guys, the people chasing Travis's aren't checking for Atmos Air Max 1s, right? They're not looking for like the animal pack. They're not trying to hunt down, you know, the elephants. They don't care about any of those, I don't think, right? It seems like the people that are into dunks, like they're not buying Air Max 1s. They don't care, right? So I feel like, John, you might be onto something with Nike trying to bring that same energy that dunks have, that, you know, is sort of following the Jordan 1, and bring it to the Air Max 1.
Trainers too. I think they're going to do it with the trainers, or they were going to. I feel like that's. I don't think they give Travis a silhouette, and you know, just cause. I mean, maybe I'm looking too far ahead, but the Air Max 1 seems like a natural kind of next evolution if we get less chunky. You know, like
Yeah.
Everyone loves Air Max ones, whether you know it or not. You will like the kids. The kids will come around. I mean, they came around to. I mean, dad New Balance, like they're wearing like nine, like you see 16-year-old kids wearing gray New Balance. You never thought that would happen. So Air Max One seems much easier to.
I mean, that's fine. Speaking of New Balance, I want to jump to the next topic, and I kind of sent this to all of you, just to kind of get your idea, or your heads around it. High Snot Body put a post out the other day, claiming that basically the 550, the New Balance 550 is, I forget how they worded it, if they said it was Nike's or New Balance's answer to the Air Force One, or if they said it was the replacement or just a competitor. And I wanted to just kind of talk about that. Is that a reasonable take?
Well, I mean, I'll say us, like the Sneak This guys, the guys that I know, like we've been seeing that since the 550s dropped. I don't know if it's a competitor. I mean, I guess it's a basketball shoe. It's a low cut. They're apparently making a bajillion of them because there are colorways coming out every week that I've never seen. But I just think, I mean, I don't see it having the staying power that the Air Force One has. Like, with a model being around, because 550s, because it's an old model, but they're just now bringing it back. But Air Force Ones have never not been around. So, I mean, if it's been 5 years of 550s being around, I can see that kind of being a reasonable take. But I mean, 550s are okay. I like them enough. I think, yeah, I think we need to give it a few more years before we make a statement like that. I mean, me personally, that's what I think.
Way too early, and I don't think. I mean, look at the cultural significance. The only reason that there's any argument is because the 550 is old, like you said, Ricco. Like it's old. It's from the archives. It was around. Maybe it was around before the Air Force Ones. I don't know the history. Stephen Smith corrected High Snot Body, I think, on the actual post because they messed up a couple things. That was pretty funny.
That too.
He was like, wrong date, boys. Like I designed it in '85 or whatever. And the Air Force One, I think, was 82. Me, I don't know my history. Yeah. So maybe those are the numbers that matter. But the fact is, the style it looks similar. But I mean, like Air Force One has so much cultural significance. I'm pretty sure maybe some people were hooping in the 550s back in the day when there was nothing else to hoop in or play tennis with. But I don't think there's any cultural significance, at least that I've never heard of. And the Air Force One is one of the most culturally significant Nikes, at least around. So.
It's immensely premature to even start that conversation. I'm like, what? The shoe's been around since the 80s. Like, the Air Force One has been there at all times, and then the shoe's like, all right, look, a lot of people are wearing it. It's kind of from the same era, but I haven't seen it since like then. And now all of a sudden it's back for a couple of months and we're like, look, the contender. I'm like,
it was a great post because the comment section was lit with a bunch of check marks and everyone going off. But I think there is some real, we can pull a conversation out of it because, maybe that comparison or maybe that comparison's not fair. But when we look at some of New Balance, the waves that they're making, some of these new silhouettes, that like, maybe they will be the next Air Force One. I don't think the 550 is it, but these kids, I mean, we're not going to be around forever. The kids rocking the new Balance is not a good example of a gray 990 because those were also old, but maybe there is something that is from now that we're wearing and then the younger people are also wearing that will last and will supplant these legendary shoes. But the kids love Air Force Ones too.
We'll need to pick this conversation back up in 10 years and then we'll see where we're at halfway there. Because for me, the only shoe that really that has any type of, and they're both completely opposite. The only shoe that can actually compete with it from a cultural significance, and it's not even in our scene, would be like an OG Vans. You know what I'm saying? A shoe that's been around just as long, has always been there, that has done its thing and popped up, has had collaborations from, metal to hip hop all the way across the board, and people are still wearing it now. To me, that's the only shoe that we can even compromise, and one fits within the dynamic of sneaker culture. The other one is there and maybe not as much. But the 550s, maybe we'll talk about it later, but right now it's definitely not.
I think there's a few shoes that can compete with the Air Force One, just long-term longevity. I think you could put the Stan Smiths in that category. I think you could say Chuck Taylors. I think you could really put as sort of like
Chuck by Nike.
What?
You see the problem with Stan.
I know.
I mean, the problem with Stan Smiths is that it's
only one iteration.
There's only one that matters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't do, the paneling on the Air Force One is just so, like, there's a lot you can do with it. You can't really do a whole lot with a Stan Smith.
Yeah.
They always, and it's cyclical, right? Like Stan Smith, I can't wear a Stan Smith because I'm short and they look like submarines on my feet. But
same.
But they they'll always be around. But I mean, the white and fairway green, those are the only Stan Smiths I think that matter.
Yeah, I don't see the 550 as a competitor to the Air Force One. Personally, like I don't know what it is. Like I think that there's this like realm of basketball shoe that was once a high top that got cut down to a low top, and sort of like now exists as like a low top lifestyle shoe. And I think the 550 kind of fits into that. But there's like, I think that it's more akin to me to the Jordan 1 low, right? It's more in that vein, in that realm to me, because it's one of those things where people just aren't familiar with it, but people like it and people like the silhouette, and there's not like a long-standing history of it as being that, or that being the main thing. Air Force One, especially Air Force One lows, like they've just been around, and like I consider the Air Force One low and the Air Force One high two different models. Like I don't even see them as the same thing, right? Like they're two different things, and I don't even see Air Force Ones as like I know they started life as a basketball shoe, but I don't see it as a basketball shoe. I don't remember people really playing basketball in it. I see people were playing basketball in like Jordans or Barclays or whatever when I was growing up, and the Air Force One was a lifestyle shoe. Everyone had like clean whites or all blacks if you were jumping through neighbors' windows. But like other than that, like I don't remember Air Force Ones being a basketball shoe. And so when I look at it, I don't, and to me, Air Force Ones are super comfortable, right? Like they're super comfortable. 550s to me are not comfortable in that way. Like they're just, I have a pair, I wear them, and I'm like, compared to every other New Balance, this is atrocious. And then also compared to the Air Force One, it's atrocious. So
no one wears their 550s. No one actually wears them.
Yeah, so I don't see it. I think a lot of people are wearing them. You see pictures on social media a lot, but that doesn't translate into anything meaningful, compared to the legacy and the history, or just the cachet that an Air Force One low has. It's very different. It's just a very different thing to me. I don't know. I just, like, my wife has Chuck Taylor. She has Air Force Ones. She likes the 550, but I know if I got her a pair, she would never wear it. She would wear Air Force Ones first. And like, because it's more comfortable, it's just more wearable. It's not, I don't know. It's not, I don't know. The 550 is not one of those silhouettes that I think it works for everyone like the way an Air Force One does.
They're trendy.
That's funny. It's interesting how you said trendy, because that's the perfect term. Like for a while there, at least in the last couple of years, we've seen like a lot of, the high school girls and the sorority girls wearing Air Force Ones, but also, you know, a shoe that competed against that one. It's the Adidas Shell Toe with the same group, right? They were wearing either or. And that to me is a more tangible comparison when we're talking about what shoe keeps up with Air Force One. They're both from the same area. They've literally transcended the same cultural areas at the same time. I don't really mess with the Shell Toe that often, except for recently. We've talked about this, you know, but at the same time, that's a fair comparison. The 550 is not to me. It's just, it hasn't been there, and at least not in the forefront. So no.
I agree. I agree. The Superstar is a great example, especially when I talk to like younger people, my nieces. They all want Air Force Ones or Jordan ones, and they end up getting mids because they can't get anything else. And then I say, "What do you think about it? What do you think about a Shell Toe?" I don't picture them on Stan Smiths. They probably had Stan Smiths when they were little, Velcro, whatever. I picture them on Shell Toes just to be different, and they're not there yet. But I think the time will come. You know, you discover another part of the culture. Maybe it's music, maybe it's breaking, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's just you see someone rocking it, or maybe you want to actually match with your pants. But what you said about the Vans and the Stan Smith, you know, yeah, there are people who buy Vans because they are into sneakers, but a lot of people buy Vans because they're shoes, and they buy Stan Smiths because they're shoes. I think there's a difference when someone buys an Air Force One, whether it's in New York or it's in, you know, back in the day, or it's in Australia now, and you're a 15-year-old boy or girl. I think, you know, you're buying sneakers. I think that's the difference. And I think that's a good comparison. Dave, what you said about the 550s, I think people think those are sneakers. So there is that comparison there, not even on the same realm, but at least I think the consumer is thinking differently. Like, I'm buying the shoe because I want a sneaker. Whereas a Van or a Chuck, most of the time you're just buying it as a shoe. So I think that's a fair comparison with the 550, but I think it's a different ballgame.
Yeah, you think the Amelie and Dora collaboration has something to do with why people are wearing them?
Yeah,
has everything to do with it.
Oh,
it's
definitely.
Just, yeah, because the GRs, I mean, no one really cares about them. My buddy's got a few pairs, just like, man, this doesn't even compare to what ALD has done. I think the quality on the ALD one is excellent. I just happen to, you know, one of those raffle things, the only reason I really own them. And so, but yeah, I mean, the GR quality is not even up to New Balance's par. So
yeah, I the funny thing about the 550 to me is that, like, I look at it and I see it doesn't, like, you know, we've been in sneakers for a while, so, like, you know, a sneaker that has like a flash point like the 550, it just seems like, okay, yeah, it's the thing now. But like, I feel like last year, sort of this point, or maybe even a few months prior, the way people felt about 550s was the way people felt about 327s, right? And so, like, it just seems like, to me, it just seems like a convenient thing to sort of say, to sort of spark conversation, which obviously we're having. But, you know, like, I just, like, I'm like, it's kind of like, it kind of feels almost like you're insulting my intelligence by saying, like, this shoe is like relevant in the way that an Air Force One is. Like, I don't know anyone that would walk into a store and not immediately recognize an Air Force One. Just maybe not know what it's called, but like know, like, oh, this shoe has been around for a while. I've seen it in other places over the years. Ooh, look at this new thing from New Balance. The way that they react to the shoe is very, very different, right? Like, someone in my office, she wears like white Air Force Ones to school, to the office every once in a while, and they're all like, you know, they're like all beat up and all dirty or whatever. And like, she's like, yeah, my husband calls me a dirty Jersey girl when I wear them. And I'm like, and like, only like there's only like that sort of like relevant history to that shoe, right? Like, if she wore a beat up 550, there's no name for that. There's no cultural significance to people for that, right? People don't go, oh, this is what I picture when I see that shoe. People just go, oh yeah, that's a new silhouette, right? That's all it is. I don't think it has any sort of significance to anyone right now. And I think that's that's what kind of insults me. And I'm not even, obviously you guys know I'm not like a big Nike guy. I own one pair of Air Force Ones and their DS. Like I don't really care, right? Like about Air Force Ones, but I know that it's a culturally significant shoe. I know that it has immense value, to the sneaker community. And so like I feel like it's a big insult to say that anything that people have gravitated towards other than like the Jordan 1, like, maybe is kind of on the same level as the Air Force One. It just seems very like disingenuous or very just like out of touch with what sneaker culture is.
I mean, let's be honest, to me, at least for me, this is me personally, the only shoes that can compare from a cultural standpoint are all Nikes. When it comes to comparing the Air Force One, that'd be the Jordan, the Dunk, and the Air Max One. Those are shoes that, to this day, each one of them, you know it, you've seen it, you can respect it. Most people have owned at least one of those in one point in their lives. You know what I mean? And they've all been there, and they were cool in the 80s, they were cool in the 90s, they were cool in the 2000s, they're cool in 2010s, 2020s, and you see how it just recycles themselves on which one's better. Where we saw the Dunk craze, we're seeing the Air Force One or the Air Max One craze, and those shoes from a cultural standpoint and from a sneaker standpoint, those are the only ones that you can't really put a New Balance, especially not a 550 in that conversation and expect it to have the same amount of cultural significance.
Well, you mentioned the Dunk. What Nike's doing with the Dunk now seems like what maybe New Balance is following with the 550 on a smaller scale. Do the collab and then pump out a bunch of lower quality, and they're kind of just sort of prices come down. Initially the GRs, people wanted those the first round after the collabs and the ALDs, and now they're quieting down, kind of like the Dunks. Again, Nike's on a whole different level, bigger scale, but maybe they're following the model. I mean, New Balance probably has no problem with learning a little bit about Nike, about hype and getting that drive, new silhouettes going.
It also goes back to like the shoes that when the Dunks first started coming back out and re-releasing, the ones that mattered were the ones that retroed, the colorways that we've seen with the Kentuckys, the Syracuses, the ceramics, the veneer, like the plums, shoes that we've seen before that had some significance. Now they're putting out new colorways that are kind of whatever, that people aren't excited about. These are more of a general release, but that's just to your point. You're right.
It's always the collabs, and then everything follows. And
yeah, I mean, I think the only other thing that I would say is like even the Dunks, right? Like the Dunks have had a wave before. Like Dunks aren't new. We know what Dunks look like. We've seen Dunks have height before. I think the thing about the 550 is that it's not a new shoe, but it hasn't been around since the 80s or whatever. And I think it's part of New Balance's whole shift to promoting and pushing a lot more Asian made products, because I feel like they get more bang for their buck, just producing and releasing shoes that are made overseas in the United States versus doing the made in USA. I think the margins for sales are probably higher, so they're probably enjoying the wave of 550s and 327s and the 2002R. Like all of those shoes probably cost a fraction of what a made in the USA 998 or 997 or even a 990 costs, right? So to me, it just seems like it's convenient for them to have this silhouette that comes out and cost them probably pennies on the dollar, and they're super popular. So a comparison to like the Air Force One is something that I don't want to say that they like paid for or bought that comparison, but I'm sure that there's talks behind the scene that like help put it more at the forefront of people's minds as a competitor, when I think most of us obviously don't really think that. Moving to the next topic. So Ricco and I had sort of like started this conversation about the Jordan 11, the gray. They got him, right? So like,
gotta relax.
Oh, we know how Ricco
like
feels.
I'm not like I'm not gonna fire. I'm not. It's not no shots at anyone, right? But like,
You literally took a shot at everyone when you told me what you told me.
okay,
I'll let
okay,
you say
I
it.
did take
Go
a
ahead.
shot at every. I didn't say any names though. I'm not like pointing people out or whatever. I'm just saying that like, so like, when did they come out? What, Monday? So Monday, right? So Monday, you know, they did the shock drop, whatever, for,
It's
you know,
early. That's an early drop, right? It's a
yeah,
holiday
yeah,
shoe.
yeah,
No?
the early drop, the early acts, whatever. I don't know what it was, right? So like,
We didn't get them.
yeah, I didn't go for them, but like the Air Jordan 11, the cool grays, we all know they're dropping for holiday this year, which they drop every year, right? They always drop an 11 for the holidays. Oh boy, here comes James with the flex, right? So
Uh-oh.
like they dropped, and I don't have a problem with anyone having them. And I actually like the cool grays. I want them. I'm going to get a pair. The problem for me is people flexing the sneakers got them on an Air Jordan 11 holiday, right? Like I'm just like how corny? Not. I'm sorry. How corny can you be, right? Like it's like the most generic release of the year. It's a sneakers release. Like mostly everyone hits, and it's kind of like, and this is the analogy that I had to like work through in my head over the past few days, Rico, of like, so this is like that Valentine's Day post of the couple that you know that fights all the time, or that one of them is cheating on the other one, and like everyone knows it, or one is like constantly getting beat on, and then on Valentine's Day they post, oh, how much I love you, thank you for being in my life. That's what the holiday Jordan got him posting on social media is to me, because it's
They're
like
excited,
all
Dave. They're
year.
And I'd
excited.
have the same reaction. I'd have the same reaction to both things, man. Like, you're happy. I'm glad you're happy. No, like, I'm glad. I see it. It's here.
I
You guys are
understand.
having a moment.
They're
You
happy.
guys are
That's
having a
it.
moment. You
I
haven't
get
had a
it.
lot of moments this year. It's
I
been a
get it.
rough year for y'all.
I get it.
So
I get it. I get it. But don't, like, listen. So sneakers is abusive, right? Sneakers is, James, we've had this, I've written it. Sneakers is an abusive a relationship, right? I don't need you to post.
Toxic.
It's toxic. It is. I don't need you to post when you get the holiday release got them, because to me it's fake. Like it's like you're giving props to something that we all know is a problem, right? And so like it's forgiving this one thing, and so then it creates this like repetitive cycle of like, okay, so now going into the new year everyone's like, oh, sneakers, okay, maybe I'll get lucky this year, I got the holiday got them. Like, nah, like it's not everyone's gonna get a pair. There's a million pairs. There's a
Well,
million plus players.
not everyone.
There's a million plus pairs, right? Of those. Like I got cousins that don't buy sneakers that posted the got them. And so for me, it's very like it's kind of like just the people that I know that are like into sneakers. I'm like, don't do that. Like you don't flex that. It doesn't show me it reinforces a bad thing. It reinforces like a bad relationship. And it just tells me that like you're riding for Nike no matter what. And I'm kind of like, don't do that, right? You know what I mean? Like, I know you got them. I know
yeah,
you
but
like
you
them.
got
I like them
that's
too,
most
but I'm not gonna
people.
like boost up sneakers.
Most people are riding with Nike no matter what. Like it
Any
doesn't,
shoe too, yeah.
they can
Yeah,
get
that's fine.
any number of your selection wasn't picked, or I can't remember what the L screen looks like, or they can get any number of those screens. But you know what's going up on the gram? The one got them. The one, oh, look at this. Thank you at Nike. You did it, fam. We did it. We're in this together.
We
It's
did
like
it.
it's just it's a communal thing, man. Like, so
But
I don't have
it's a
problem with it.
lottery. That's the unfortunate
Yeah.
reality of it, is that even though it's the corniest shit ever, and I make videos mocking it half the damn time because I think it's funny, because I treat sneakers that way. If not, I'm just going to be raging angry all the time because I just want the fucking shoes, right? So when you get a Gotham screen, I kind of understand that perspective when they're like, I hit, because you never hit. No one ever hits. Is it cheesy? Absolutely. But it's also like, nobody goes into a sneaker raffle being like, I'm going to hit this. I already know. I'm going to get it. So when you enter and you do get it, like there is that genuine shock, at least for a second. You're like, I actually did get these. That's awesome. Half the time it's a shoe I don't want. Rarely is it a shoe that I do want. This one I did want. This isn't the pair that I went on that one should be here in a couple of days, but nonetheless, it doesn't change the excitement of getting that Gotham screen, because look, sneakers is a giant line. Yeah. Over 1 million people that sign up for something, and they're not all going to get it. And we all know we're not going to get it. The chances that any of us hit is what, 5%, 2%, maybe. No, we're going to get the shoe we want in our size, if at all. So when you do get it, there is a part that has this, that I'm sympathetic to it. But I think a lot of people are just addicted to the Gotham screen to show that they're, look, I'm into this. I did it. Those people will get the shoe and they're like, all right, selling it off. You know what I mean? Maybe 30% are actually excited to have the shoe, will wear it, and are genuinely excited about it. I think a lot of people are just more excited about the fact that they didn't take an L. And then there's the few that are just corny.
I don't have a problem with people showing their Gotham screens. I have a problem with the holiday Jordan 11 Gotham screen. That's
Dave,
my
we
problem.
were talking about, remember we were talking on the group chat about the Concepts New Balance and how, and I was saying, like, I got the access and everyone got the access. Isn't that the same thing? I mean, everyone picks on Nike and sneakers, but you get an early access from Concepts. You don't necessarily want it, but you feel special. You feel a certain way because they picked you. The same thing happens with Ronnie drops, and it happens other places too. You feel like, I got a W. I got to do, this is how it is. This is the game. And that's, James pointed out that when you win on something that you don't even want. And the early access, they always get you. I always say this, that it's an early access shoe that you don't want. And because it's early, you think you're special. And it's like, it's sitting by the time it actually releases, right? And, you know, the Concepts drops aren't necessarily super hot these days. I love the shoe, but I wasn't going to get it. I wasn't going to go for it. And then as the approach dropped, as the drop approached of the early access, started thinking, oh, shoot, I'm going to get that email. Maybe. I got it last time, so I figured I'm going to get it this time. And sure enough, it showed up. And I said, I don't want it. And I felt a certain way. And I convinced myself I wanted it. And it was because it was, no doubt, if it was just sitting on the website on release day, that's when you don't want it. When it's sitting, that's the exact opposite. It's sitting, no one wants it. It happens with hats too. You see a hat and you're like, oh, this hat's going to be, and then it's just sitting. It's like, nah, I don't need it. And it happens with everything.
If I ever saw a Mets hat sit, man, I need it immediately.
We're not talking Mets hats. We're talking Jay's hats. We're talking Jay's hats. But anyway, the point is this, you know, if I really believe if the New Balance Concepts pair that just dropping, I think on Friday, if it was sitting on the website, I wouldn't have bought it, but because I got the early access, and I feel that's kind of how the sneakers things are. You win the first of all, you're already committed when you get a W, right? We don't have sneakers, right? You already paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there you go. You won, you're happy, and then you move on to the next one, right?
It's a whole lot of FOMO, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of FOMO. A lot of people are like, yo, what if I don't, you know what I mean? Like just, sometimes you just try your luck just to see what happens. And I've done this. I've entered raffles where I'm like, I don't care, but we'll see. Let's just see, you know, and the chances that I hit aren't going to hit. And usually that's when I win. So I kind of get annoyed at that point because I'm like, fuck it. I guess I'm keeping this shoe or I'll use it as trade bait. But for the most part, like when I genuinely hit on a pair that I want, and this is the toxic element of sneakers, like, sure, they've given me massive amount of L's and disappointment multiple times, but when they give me that one hit, it's like that little bit of love I need in my life. And that's just enough to reel you back in. And I don't know who's a sucker, probably me for going right back into it, but I get the shoe that I want. The sacrifices, you know, my mental health for the past 6 months. But, you know, for that moment, you're like, yeah, I'm here, I'm into it. And especially when it's a shoe that you really, really, really like, you know what I mean? Like that part's cool. It sucks that it doesn't happen often enough. And it's cheesy that they have their own taglines. You know what I mean? It's fun because it gives me content to work with that I can make fun of. I'm in fun of myself more than, you know, I don't take myself seriously at all when it comes to sneaker content. So it allows me that element to have fun with it. But, you know, there is a genuine excitement when you do get that pair you want. If you're the type of person that really, really wants it, you know, I don't resell, so I don't care if I hit. I'm like, no, I don't see cha-ching. I am excited. I'm going to get a pair of shoes, and I'm starting thinking about how I'm going to wear them. I can't wait to get them in my hands and put them in my collection. But it goes right back to what we've discussed. It is so terrible and toxic and addicting. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not because of the doves, it's because of the disappointment. You know what I mean? If you just keep playing, you're gonna win. You'll get there eventually. And then you do hit on that pair, and you're like, I didn't even want this fucking shoe.
And it goes to show that whole theory about NFTs, and Bobby Hundreds is big on it. I've talked about it before, about, you know, you just wanting it. You just wanting the W. You don't even need the concrete thing. So the whole, I think, I don't know, is it Nike used to release something about their rolling out some virtual? I think it was Nike. Something's happening. I forget what it was. But that whole idea that you don't need something concrete in your hand. You just need something to flex, to make you feel like you got a W, both one or the other, to make you feel good, to make you feel special. I mean, not to bring it back to the Travis thing, but and the new generation, but I don't know, maybe there's a connection. I don't want to bring it back.
I get it. I think for me, the problem for me is that every year we get a holiday 11, and there's a million plus pairs of those, right? Every year. So like us as like sneaker people that are really in tune to the community, we know that, we understand that about the holiday Jordan 11 release, right? So for me, the holiday Jordan 11 is that shoe that sits on the shelf, right? So John, you talked about like if the concept sat on the shelf, you wouldn't want it. For me, the Jordan 11 is that, right? Like, obviously, yes, you have to put in some effort to get it, but I feel like that shoe, to me, it's not a sneakers win. It shouldn't be a sneakers release. It should just release on Nike's website, and you should just go buy it, because like that's how many they make, right? And so like for me, like I'm like, everyone and their mother is gonna get a pair. I am like in the heart of the city. I'm gonna walk down the street, and I'm gonna see so many cool gray 11s in January that it's gonna make me sick, right? And
whole
so,
family, right?
And yeah,
full size run.
And so for me, I'm just like, as a sneaker person, as someone that's like into sneakers, that's in tune to each release, that knows like, oh, this is a really high pair, this is a really low number pair. Oh, they're gonna, there's only so many of these. There's a lot of that. Like, I have a really good shot at this. There's a lot of hype behind that. Like, I feel like good sneakerheads, we don't need to hype up sneakers off of a Jordan 11 release and post the bottom. We know what that is. We know what that release is. We know who's getting that. We know how many there are. It's not a success. It's not a success in our eyes. It's a great shoe that we got, and like, that's cool. But you don't need to flaunt it, and you don't need to flex it for us, because I mean, it's just one of those. It's like you posting a GR that's sitting on Nike's website, because we all, if you have been in the sneaker game any sort of time, you can get that 11 release, and it's not a big deal. So
a million people want it, Dave. A million people.
Over
that's
a million
meaning,
people.
Yeah. Think about that.
And to be fair,
it's not 550.
There's only been 2 years. Last year was the first time that they actually made a million shoes. Full gamut, though. We went from baby shoes to the toddler shoes to PS, GS, and men's sizes. Before then, it wasn't a million pairs. It was, I think at max at one point, there was 600 pairs of Space Jams. And before that, it wasn't. I mean, we're talking about a shoe this shoe hasn't sat on the shelves since 2009. 2000, not even then, because that's when the Space Jams first dropped in 2009. Maybe prior to that, 2000, some of them sat. The last time I physically remember an 11 sitting on a shelf was in 1996. And I know that because one of my pairs got stolen. I went and bought another pair, and it was still there. And this was on the Columbias. But since then, they don't sit on the shelves anymore. And I don't think it will. Now, there are a million pairs, but there are over a million people who want the shoe. So the reason why I understand what you're saying, but it's also invalidates. The 11 is a cultural icon. People love this shoe. All right, they love it. Even as Matt calls them the Doug dealer shoes. Like every dope boy's got a pair. That was and for as much fun as I love to make of the 11, it is a silhouette that just marks a significant change in sneakers. When this shoe dropped, it changed everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It changed everything. So people love this shoe, and it's the most easily recognizable of the Jordans aside from the one, at least to me. So the fact that they had to make a million pairs not only tells me that Nike was listening. Everybody complained, make more pairs. Well, they made more pairs, a lot more pairs. So now everybody can get them. But I guarantee you that when they dropped this shoe, just now they dropped 100,000 pairs. That's what the word on the street is, 100,000 pairs in men's sizes. And still people didn't hit on a 1 day notice. You know what I mean? So, and there's going to be, this shoe wouldn't sit if they did 2 million pairs, it would still go. It would still go. It would go, and it would go quick.
Got to blame Nike.
And I think
Dave.
that's for any 11 of an OG. We're talking about a Space Jam, a Concord, a Bread, a Legend, or Columbia, and the Cool Gray. Maybe the other ones may be a little harder just because they're not an original colorway. But if Jordan wore them, they're not sitting ever.
I think so. So here's what I kind of think about it in my head. As I kind of think about it as if they released the all white Air Force One on sneakers, and people got them, and then like posted that got them. I'd be like, so
it
what?
hasn't been out, Dave. I don't even remember when it came out. That's how long it's been.
No.
Can you guys remind me when the Cool Grades are?
I get it. The Cool Grades haven't been out in a while, but I guess for me, it's more like we know that it's not going to be hard to get them. So why is it an accomplishment that you did?
It's never easy.
I don't think
it's not going to be easy.
11. I think that's just necessarily for just because people hit on a W. I mean, I'd say the same thing about.
I guess that's my point. Is like you're validating sneakers off of something that you can get easily, right? So like that's my problem. Is like I know sneakers is a problem, and I'm like sneakers is a problem. Let's not give it a pass because it gave me a W on this shoe that I know I could get anyway.
Right?
Yeah, well, that's I wouldn't say you. I mean, it's still a shoe that most people, unless you're one of us, right, who has more of a direction and kind of understands how to get shoe, eliminate that element of it and put yourself in a perspective of the casual sneaker person, or maybe even the novice beginner into the sneaker culture. They don't know how to get this shoe. They're dependent on the same apps that other people are. Totally. They're not going to get it as easy. So it's not. It may be easier for us.
Yeah.
It's going to be absolutely difficult for them because they're still battling a million people.
No, I get it.
They walk in 3 days late. They walk in 3 days late. It's not on the shelves. Their size. You might get a 13. You might get a kid size, but it's not going to sit. I mean, maybe it'll sit for 2 days. But they won't let it.
That's what I'm saying. Like I have family that doesn't buy shoes that posted the got 'em on Monday, right? And so for me, I'm like, James, you're better than that.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Access. Why are you for a different reason? The same way my cousin who doesn't buy shoes is flexing.
Well, to be fair, my Travis Scott ones, the highs, the first OG drop, my non-sneakerhead brother-in-law who doesn't buy shoes at all hit for me. So he posted it, you know what I mean? So it's a double-edged sword. But we're also talking about a shoe that has 1 million pairs. You know, we would have seen. We could talk about the Off-White too. You know, if there had been more pairs and people got them, you would see much more got 'ems on there. The only reason why we didn't see more was because they didn't make as many of them. I think it's more based on the fact that it's a sneakers got 'em moment. So people, the excitement's easier to share. But had there been 1 million pairs of twos. And, you know, I wasn't a fan of the two. I'm not a fan of the two, and I don't think a lot of sneakerheads are big fans of the twos. But imagine if that shoe had actually hit multiple, like even if it was 200,000 pairs, we would have seen so many more got 'ems on the screen all over our timelines at that point. It's about the got 'em. It has nothing to do with the shoe. I think this shoe made it accessible for everybody to have their moment to be like, look, I'm in too. Right? When you're usually not. Usually everybody's posting there didn't get them because that's what we all share. We didn't get them. All this was a moment, an opportunity to be in for most people anyway. And I know a lot of people that might be too cheesy for them to admit, but let's be honest, a lot of people are just happy that they took a dub on a shoe that's cool.
So let people be happy, Dave.
Yeah.
Moral of the story.
Man.
Dave, what's worse, me getting my young, say I have a 3-year-old kid a pair of Cool Grays to match. We take a sneaker dad's pick. What's worse, that or someone posting their Off-White twos who don't even, didn't even know about it too before that? I mean, like, that's what it is, right? I mean,
yeah,
that photo's coming.
At least people are passionate about it.
For me,
they're excited.
It's like Jordan 11 releases. As much as I love that shoe, which is the shoe that sort of brought me back to sneakers, as much as that shoe is great and iconic, and I think I agree with James, like that is the most recognizable Jordan next to the Jordan 1, maybe even above the Jordan 1 to me. I think as hardcore sneaker people, like that is not a shoe that I think that we need to bring out and say, hey, I won this shoe. Like it should be like, okay, yeah, I got it. I'm gonna flex a fit with this, or I'm gonna show an on foot pic. I don't need to see the got him. Like I don't
No
need
one does that,
like
Dave.
that
No one
doesn't make
puts the shoes on anymore. Come on.
what?
No one
No,
puts the shoes on anymore.
it just seems to me like I'm kind of just like, you're better than that. I know you have gotten things that are harder to attain, and I know that you have, you know, have infinitely more, more cachet in the sneaker community. And like I understand why my cousin flexed them, because he's not in sneakers, right? He doesn't recognize that like the Jordan 11 is widely made and that we're going to get one every year and they're going to make a million pairs. He's just like, oh, a Jordan 11, I got it. I was cool enough to get it. Like I think I'm part of the community, and like he could flex that one thing. I don't need anybody else to flex it for me. Like I'm not checking for if James got the Air Jordan 11. Like I'm like, I know he got them because I expect that we all got them, but it doesn't seem like a shoe that it just doesn't seem like a thing that we should necessarily celebrate Nike for giving us access to, right? Like,
I
oh,
hope
Sure.
I'm your secret Santa this year.
I get
Dave.
that, but
I hope I'm your
I-
secret Santa.
I don't think it's necessarily about Nike in general. I think it's more of people's satisfaction with the fact that they got something that they were trying to get. I don't think it's necessarily like, oh, I'm going to praise Nike. And this takes us back to the got 'em screen. It's about the got 'em. People just want to be like, fuck, I hit. God damn it, I've been waiting to hit on something. I don't think it has anything to do with being a Nike lover or appreciating Nike more than anything else. It's more the fact that they won the lotto in that moment for that shoe. And I think it has more to do with being like, I hit on something I won, because had I gotten that from a Joe Freshgood, I would hype that. And they don't have that catchphrase that Nike does, or that screenshot that you can post without posting your receipt and everything like that. I think it has more to do with the fact that people, their frustration is gone for a second and they get to put it, and they have a place to put it. And because of Instagram, and it's more of a marketing genius by Nike by having that than it is anything with an actual flex. Like, I don't think anybody jumps around is super excited about it, but I think the opportunity to get the shoe is what the opportunity to show that they got something is more prominent than giving praise to Nike. I don't think anybody's out there. Well, if anybody's out there saying thank you, Nike, that's weird. That's a little weird.
That you see that all
And
the
that's
time.
been
They hate
weird.
Nike.
Yeah, that's weird.
Mhm.
That's weird. Now, if you just
one
posted like
day.
hit them, got them, or
I think
Love
I
you,
like that
Nike.
better
Thank you.
than oh, shout out to the UPS guy. Like, thank you, UPS. It's like, fam, what? I'd rather, I don't
a
know.
lot of
If
people are
I
losing
get
their
a
packages.
Yeah,
I
facts.
didn't want a cool gray until we had this conversation with Dave. Now all I want is a cool gray.
Yeah, I
to
kinda
flex
want
a
one
got 'em
too.
screen and to flex that I have them and to be excited and to make a TikTok video and to do all of these things just to send directly to Dave.
I don't
Dave, mine's
care
up. I'm
about
gonna
anything
resend
but
it
the
to you.
got 'em screen. It's just the got 'em screen. That's the only thing that sort of triggers me on those. Is like, I know you got them.
Green screen
looking at,
TikTok,
that's
got
cool.
'em screen. Look at me go. Boom.
I think a got him story is better than a got him post, right? I mean, like, it's a story, right? It's like, don't put it.
It'll be
as
gone
the-
24 hours from now.
I think the got 'em
Yeah.
reel is better than the story and the post.
Oh yeah, well,
Oh yeah,
yes, we got
definitely.
I think cool gray got 'em screen is going to be my profile picture for a long time on Instagram.
Great, good topic, Dave. Now we have to look at that every day.
I know. As we shift from things on sneakers that people allegedly really want, the last topic that I wanted to talk about, which is probably the biggest topic, and I think people have talked about it, but I don't think people have really like acknowledged like the impact that it might actually really have, is basically the new rules that the IRS has sort of like imposed on like resale sites, which is basically any sale over $600 should be reported to the IRS. I think we talked about it in the group chat and people were kind of pissed about it, which seemed weird to me personally, since I don't think people on there really resell like that. But just curious what you guys think about, the impact that this might have on resale. For me personally, I thought it might have an impact on sales prices, right? So like, if you're gonna get hit with a tax, burden or a tax liability because you're gonna sell this off-white Jordan 2 for 750 or 725, like you're more likely to price it at like
5.99.
5.99.
Yeah, 5.99
Right. So that
to keep Uncle Sam out your pockets.
so that way when you sell it, like there's the tax implication doesn't hit, right? You're not gonna get dinged that way. But I don't know, like if you guys think that's accurate. I'm like that's my personal thought, right? Is that it would help lower resale prices to something that's more reasonable. And I'm a 13, so like everything that I want is always like $400 or above. Like people they're like, oh, it's a 13, I'm gonna sell it for 650, and it's like, dude, come on.
It's weird when that whole thing started. Not to get on a tangent, but that's a super weird change that I feel like it was never a thing. I feel like if you had a full size run of something in like 2012, 2013, they were all like 250. And now it's like, oh, these size 7s are 500 and this 13 is a 400. But for you, Ricco, your 10 is like 325. Like that's, I don't know. That's just a super weird thing. That's just a tangent. I resell often because I am in a program with Soul Supremacy. I have a membership with them to get beater boxes. So they'll come in. Sometimes I'll need cleanup. Sometimes they won't come with box. Sometimes they will come with box and they'll be DS, blah, 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 blah. But, you pay X amount, you clean the shoes, sell them, make profit. Stonks or whatever. So, I mean, I don't know how it's going to change that. I don't really care. I mean, if the IRS wants to see what I make, like that's fine with me. Like I get it. If everything's capped at, if resale for all sneakers is capped at $5.99 to avoid the IRS, I'm with it. Too many shoes are $1,000+ anyway. As far as it like deterring people, maybe it's something I thought about. I also thought about, will people be like, yeah, so I'll sell it to you for 180, but then friends and family me like $10, so I could, you know what I mean? Like shady shit like that being done. But I don't know enough about the IRS and tax things and all that. Because I know that GOAT has, they'll give you 1099, but you have to sell like 20,000 worth of sneakers. So I was like, oh, okay, well that's a future me problem, and now it's it's arriving sooner rather than later since I sell most stuff on GOAT. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to have a feeling toward it. If it gets less people thinking, oh, I can just make easy money on sneakers, that's better for me. Also, I mean, that kind of brings up our local meetups coming back.
Yeah,
because that'd be pretty tight if they did.
I think that's exactly where we're going to see. We're going to see.
Agree.
It's going to be the only people who are going to be affected by it are the StockX's, the GOATs, and the eBays of the world, because everybody else is just going to go full cash. All your local sneaker shops are going to just under the table. Let's do it. It's $2,100 cash. Point blank.
And
they just won't sell the shoe if it's not
there's a lot of resale shops by me that will pretty much only do cash, and if they do, if they have to do PayPal, Venmo, or anything, then they'll charge you a fee. But but cash is king still around a lot of spots, at least in Arizona.
And all the
Facebook,
meetups and stuff, like
Instagram.
people are people are still going to be willing to do, like, now they're not going to want to send their stuff right away. They're going to want to keep it locally and sell here locally around your town. So I don't think it's going to have a major impact per se for a local scene, except I mean, there's going to be some pros and cons to it. Obviously, a lot of people can't hold on to a pair of shoes for that long. They need to make their profit, so maybe they'll be willing to get rid of it sooner or faster. But that's kind of the old trope of reselling sneakers, is how long can you hold it. But at the same time, if people are holding so many pairs, they'll pay for it. They'll pay for it locally. They'll pay for it cash. They can charge whatever they want. They don't have to sell it on StockX. And I think what it will do is it'll minimize, I say this loosely, but it'll minimize the market price element of what the shoe is worth, because it's no longer valid. You can't claim it on stock. You know, if you put it on GOAT for $10,000 or whatever, are they taking into account that the IRS is going to be paying attention to it anymore? Are they decreasing the value of it because of that? Are they exceeding the amount because of it? So I think the trust in the market price is going to be very different now. It's going to go, ideally, hopefully, go back to something that we would thought there was a standard price for this shoe in general, as opposed to, like, don't even get me started. There are people who add money on top of a trade. I'm like, what? We just trade the shoe size. You know, when things change like that. Anyway, and that's neither here nor there. I think it'll have more of an effect locally, and that's where people will be back to cash is king.
I think
The ease element's going to be gone.
I think there are a lot of people sitting on a lot of shoes that maybe weren't even resellers a few years ago that got into it when sneakers really got popular as an investment. I think those people might be affected. They might want to cash out before I don't know if the rule changes are in place yet. They might want to cash out there. It might affect the whole market, but I also think, you know, this, for me, for example, I sell a little bit on StockX, mostly when I have a shoe that I've been sitting on for a couple of years and it gets to a value that I just don't want to wear it. So an Air Max Anniversary that I bought at retail, and I say, damn, my double is selling on StockX for 600. Forget it. I'd rather have the money than a double. And it's easy, right? Now, if I do that, say 5 times a year, I make $3,000. The tax hit, sure, it's going to be another form. It's not going to be a huge tax hit on me. It's going to be maybe, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred bucks. Say it's more. It's maybe I just won't do it anymore. It's not going to change my life. It's not going to change my collecting. But the kid with stacks who's like flipping on StockX constantly, and then he gets a tax bill on his 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, because he's just flipping and he's making those 20. You know, we always complain about the people trying to make the $20, right? Those guys are going to get killed because the tax department doesn't care that you're only making a gain $20. They care on what the large number is. How much did you make this year? So I don't know if this is a tipping point of the market cooling off, but it could definitely take a bite out of it. I think if they enforce it, and I don't see how it couldn't.
We're gonna find out soon enough.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm curious. I'm excited at the possibility of things that can happen. Just maybe calming things down a bit when it comes to monies. But at the end of the day, I've been wrong before. You know what I mean? Especially when the shoe stuff, because I thought it was gonna go left and it definitely went super right multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing for me, I thought about, like, you know, I think when I first got back into sneakers back in like 2011, 2012, like, it was like, you know, I thought about resale, and resale didn't bother me then because it was like someone was just in the right place at the right time, grabbed the shoe or managed to grab a couple and are you flexing on us like that? Okay, I see how it is. And basically someone would sell you something that you really wanted for $20 over, right? Like, or $30 over, but it'd be a local thing. It'd be like, I know this person, or you'd pay. Like, I had a guy that I would pay to get things that I wanted, because I knew it might be a little bit harder than I could probably get it, right? And so he would charge me like 20, 30 bucks over. And I was fine with that. Like, it was a local thing. But then with the entry of StockX and GOAT, like, right, so like now, you know, this same person that I'm dealing with, and he didn't do this, but like, you know, it was like, well, I can get this shoe, and then now I have the market, which is the whole United States, and I can maybe get $100 more for every shoe that I get, rather than like an easy 20-30 bucks from you. I can just put it on StockX and get that $100 more, right? And so, like, I think the availability, the ability to be able to go out and like access the full market of people that wanted to buy this shoe nationwide, worldwide, is something that StockX, Go, eBay provides, right? And it seemed obvious to me that the IRS would go, this information is there. So you have this transaction information. You know how much this shoe costs retail. You know how much you sold it for. That's a profit. That's money being made. We want a piece of that. That seemed to me to be an obvious like layup, in terms of like, okay, we're just going to come to you and tell you got to give us this information so that we can impose this tax liability on people. I never, I never saw it not happening, right? And so like I was always, so when it happened, I was very surprised that people were surprised about it, and also that people were very upset about it. But I also was kind of like, well, the beauty of reselling that used to exist is that there was sort of like a little bit of a hustle to it. Like you had to like try to find customers. When you bought something, you had to like know who would want things,
Yeah.
right? Oh, I'm gonna get this for Dave because I know that he's a 13 and I know that he likes, New Balance 990s, right? So like I'll hook him up and I'll give it to him for 20-30 bucks. I know that I'm gonna get that quick $20-30, rather than, oh, I'm just gonna buy this because I know that everybody wants it and I'm gonna put it on StockX and someone's gonna buy it for 600 bucks. And so like it seems like that hustle that happened with resellers, and there's a few that I know, and like I appreciated them for being able to have that hustle, because they would hook you up with other people that like, oh, this person, he gets all the Adidas, so he might be able to get you to hook you up for a couple bucks, right? Like that was dead. That died with StockX and Goat. And so it's, I think, you guys are right. Like I feel personally like that's what's gonna come back, is that, all right, well, I'm not gonna put it on StockX. I'm just gonna try to sell it locally for cash, because then I'm not gonna get hit with this 1099, right? Like, so it seems like that is hopefully something that will help sort of burst the bubble. And like John, like you were saying, that kid that has stacks on stacks of, shoes that he's just been flipping and flipping and flipping, like, and thinking about his shoes as like investments. Oh, this is an investment. I'm holding it for 6 months and I'm gonna flip it. Like that is now okay. Sure, you can do that, but the tax implications for doing that are going to be like a big deal for you. And I don't, and I, again, I've said before, like I'm not a big fan of reselling, and I don't like resellers, but it's more like the new age resellers. It's not when it was 1-to-1 and like I was talking to someone and we were working out a deal. It's more like the faceless, like I just gotta grab everything and put everything on StockX and put everything on Goat because it's hype and because I'm gonna make some money. Like I don't, like I'm not, I don't want to interact with those people. Like I don't want to deal with that. Like I'd rather deal with someone that's, oh, I bought this shoe, like I'm trying to flip it a little bit, I just need to make my money back or a little bit more. Like I'm okay with $20, $30, $50 over retail. It's when it gets to like I'm making 500% on a shoe that it gets sort of ridiculous to me.
Agreed.
If you're making 500%, then maybe you could pay the taxes. So it's not going to get everyone out of the game, right? I mean, some people have factored taxes in, right? Some big resellers already are paying taxes, right? So it's not going to eliminate that. The reason I say kids is because I assume that they haven't had the longer term view. They're not have a business plan, whatever. It's not necessarily kids. It can be anyone, but that professional reseller is paying taxes, is making 200 grand, 300, whatever, and paying their 50% or whatever the tax bracket is for a reseller. I don't know. The kid has been flipping on StockX or I think they'll feel it.
Do you think it changes the shoes that you pursue now? personally.
No, I don't usually go for stuff like to flip. Like I don't, that's not something. And I mean, even if it happens once or twice, like it's not a regular thing. I'm not like, oh, I have to get on sneakers and sign up for off-white twos. I'm just like, well, if I get them, I don't like the shoe, so I'll probably flip it. But it's not. Again, my thing is mostly just with the beater boxes. I just, it's more of a hobby, right? Like I enjoy the process of cleaning the shoe, taking the pictures, putting it on, putting it on. Like I enjoy that stuff, boxing it up, shipping it out. So it won't, no,
Do you
not
see
really.
yourself putting more effort into like Facebook and like Instagram sales then? If you're trying to avoid that, like I mean, 600 comes pretty quick, right?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I'm not in a lot of local groups. Like Arizona is kind of a weird place when it comes to like local sneaker like meetup groups, but I could see me like, oh well, if this shoe, I could see myself getting a specific shoe like, oh, this is gonna sell for a lot of money. So we have an event called Heated Soul Summit. We have a shop out here called Wang's Closet. They had Wanga Palooza like a few weeks ago. So I could see myself be like, okay, well, this shoe I can make like a good $700-800. I'm gonna wait till one of those events are here and then I'll bring it with me then to go around rather than, throwing it on Goat and whatnot. But as far as like I don't do local sales all that often. I've done like, 2 or 3 here or there, but it's not something I'm not in groups every day like, oh, meet like I'm not on OfferUp. Like you get, and even on eBay, like I don't like doing eBay either. You just get honestly like too many stupid fucking questions that I'd rather not deal with. Like it's worth it for me for Goat to like, because Goat has their fees and they're all that. Like for me, like that's worth it to not have to deal with the nonsense of trying to sell something in person and then you drive to a place and are like, oh, I can't make it, I'm still at work. I'm like, fucking okay, well, so I'll just go back home. Yeah, it's a lot.
I think that's exactly where it's going to make the biggest difference is, are we going to go back to the the convenience days before? Now sneaker selling is so easy. You can just do it on Goat and you can avoid having to deal with people. You can do it on StockX. You never even have to see the person. You just literally gone, right? But is it worth it to you? You know what I mean? How much? At what point is it no longer worth it to you that you have to go do the local scene? Do we go back to pre StockX days where you had to do your local meetups to make the money you wanted to, or trust eBay to do it? You know what I mean? So it's gonna have. I think that's where you're really gonna see where it hits people hardest is whether or not they're willing to put in the work or deal with the effort. Because if you have a shoe that's worth $2,000, are you willing to just let it go for under $600 just so you don't have to deal with somebody? Or are you going to put in the legwork? And then you got to go find somebody to do it. So it's going to go back a little bit to more of that hustle mentality that you had to have to see if you can find the right person to do it. I'm sure the people that the supply and demand element isn't going to change. So I mean, I guess it just gives you a little bit more control on who you sell it to for how much you really want to sell it for.
Right.
Yeah, and I've heard a few people say, "Oh, well, I think people are just gonna raise prices to make up the difference." But like, I don't think it works that way, right? Because if you're paying
because you'll just get taxed more.
Yeah, you're just gonna pay more taxes the more you charge, right? So, like, I feel like it's not gonna go that way. I feel like the only way for it to go is me thinking about selling shoes below $600 or trying to hustle to sell the shoe without the middleman that's going to record the transaction. And so
it's going to be like the PayPal days where it was like send as a friend, you know what I mean, or add the 10%. That's what it's going to be like.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I could definitely see that coming back.
Everything's going to be friends and family now.
Dead ass.
And I'm sure they won't catch on at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It doesn't make a big difference to me, because I try not to buy resale ever. think I've been good. I think I've only gotten one pair resale this whole year.
It's retail or nothing until it matters. Until it's the mummy SBs and I can't not have them.
Well, Dave, it's a long way away, but things happen quicker than we think sometimes. But if the resale market gets affected seriously, then there's a trickle down to the retail market, right? I mean, people might stop trying to buy pairs. The hype might die. You might be able to get your hands on pairs. Might even be able to get things on sale. It might, I mean, in theory, it could kill any hype. It could kill resale. It could kill everything. I don't think it will. I think, but in theory, it's possible that those will be sitting by Christmas if this tax comes.
If this bursts the bubble, oh my God, I will be so fucking happy. Oh my God.
If these are sitting and everybody has a Gotham screen, the only thing I'm gonna have to worry about is checking up on Dave and making sure his head didn't explode from all the Gotham screens.
You still got to get through the holidays. There's gonna be so many more, Dave.
It doesn't bother, like I said, it doesn't bother me
Birdman hand rub.
People post them. It bothers me when sneaker people post them. I'm just like, why? Like, I know. Like, you proved it to me. I got you. James, what else you got? Let's show it. Show us what's on deck. Give us the preview.
You got stuff that's unreleased, we know.
Oh wait, I got to check these out.
Even out yet.
I actually really like these.
It's got shoes that came out 2 days ago. Like, you can get them from Nike.
I really like these. Look at the material. Can you see it?
Yeah.
I just entered a raffle locally for those.
Those didn't drop early. Damn, James got the plug. We know that.
What laces do those come with?
A little family right there.
Horrendous. Oh my God.
I like them.
No one likes patent. People only like patent leather for 11s. People acting like they like an all patent leather one
shoe ever.
No.
When it rains, you put these on.
So listen, here's my thing. I like patent leather. I like the patent leather ones, right? When they did the what was it?
Gold toe.
No, not the gold toe.
The Union.
Like the Chicago. They did the Chicago.
No,
right? Mids.
No.
Yep. Chicago mids.
No.
Chicago mids, and they did
UNC,
the black low mids. Then there was the
black and gold. Those ones.
Black and gold.
Those
the ones. What was it? Not last year. The year before. When they did the. What was it?
It's like an obsidian or something.
The Fearless pack, like the white ones with the red, and then like the university blue.
Yeah. Oh, the fear ones.
Yeah, the fears.
Yeah.
Oh,
those were dope. But the problem is, like Ricco said, patent leather on a Jordan 1. Like when it creases, just throw the whole shoe away. Just throw it away. Like it doesn't matter.
It's a great shoe for when it rains, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but when
it's my go-to rain shoe.
It's a Jordan 1. You don't need patent.
I know, exactly. But when it creases, what are you gonna do when it creases? That's my question. Because like, I feel like
keep wearing them
when it creases is a problem.
Well, I mean, all the shoes crease terribly. Air Force Ones crease awfully. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I don't know. I've worn my black and gold ones a lot. I've worn the Chicago mids a lot. I mean, they crease awkward, but I mean.
The beauty of a Jordan 1 is that when it's kind of beat, it looks great.
So much better.
Sure.
Right?
It looks so much better when it's beat.
There's going to be a lot of conversions into regular breads. I know someone who did that with the Shatter.
Yeah, people they just mat this. I did the same thing with the
breads
when I did with the Shatter Rack with the 3.0, the black ones with the trashy ones. I matted them. That's my plan for these.
Look at that toe box. It's destroyed. I love that. But like when you get patent leather, like there's something different about it when it's destroyed, right? So that's my only concern. I think they look great, but like beyond the initial wear, what do you get? Like I'm not running them.
It also holds well, so it doesn't crease right away. You really got to beat a patent leather shoe up in order for it to crease. I still have 11s that I've worn multiple times that have relevant no crease. The patent leather is tougher. It's a non-creasable shoe. That's why you see like patent leather dress shoes that don't look like they've ever been worn. To crease the shoe, you're gonna have to really put in the effort to do it.
You need the inserts.
I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, you gotta stuff them. You gotta keep them stuffed.
Oh my God.
No, while you're wearing them.
Stuff them. But you gotta do the 1990
Mike's
back roll up of the sock. You know what I mean? Keep the toe nice and fat.
Michael hook you up with the, what are they called? He
Which ones?
swears by them.
The decreases or something. What are they
Well,
called?
there's the big plastic ones. He doesn't like those.
Oh,
Those
the
ones
force
kill
fields.
your field.
Yeah,
the force fields are the rubber ones. Which ones are
Yeah, the little like
Yeah.
foam ones that you stuff in.
Ricco shaking his head. I'm being silly.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like if I have to do certain things to make it so that I can wear my shoe. Like I just want to wear it.
Just
Like,
wear the shoe. Just wear the shoe. Everyone just wear your shoes.
Yeah, you can walk
I just wear
funny.
the shoe.
Just
I
walk
got the
Let
funny.
them
I have
crease,
the
step in
the
dirt,
bubblegum
walk through
ones
a
as well
forest.
already.
the what?
The bubblegum ones. I have.
You have
What are
those?
those?
I
They got
can't.
the
They're in
fake
my
gum
room.
on the
My wife's in
bottom.
there asleep.
I heard about those today. I didn't even
Yeah.
see. They were talking about. I haven't even seen those.
I'll send you a picture. They're actually. I mean, they're navy and pink, but the pink is like iridescent. It's weird. It's a different kind of sheen on them. So they're. I thought they were gonna be black, but they're super dark navy blue. They're okay. I like them. I'll send everybody a couple pics. I
like those burgundy ones. I feel like they would be really good with like gray laces.
Yeah.
And like,
Yep.
But they come with the white, right? They come with the
They
white.
definitely don't work with white laces. You
White,
need Bordeaux laces or something.
Got the release calendar for the rest of the year.
Yeah, pretty much.
James got it.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
just white and maroon.
yeah, those would be really good with like silver laces.
What
like
color is this swoosh?
So
It's silver
Oh, okay.
with the bubble. So these go with like the Japan version.
Yeah, that's
the Japan navies and then the silver ones.
I hope I get them.
I haven't
these-
bought
these are my
one.
favorite.
Right
good
to
ones.
Dave.
Make sure you post it if you do.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Got them,
Thank you,
Spains?
Nike.
We're
At
all.
Nike
I don't even have the
Everyone
hat,
at
but I'm gonna
Nike.
start posting it there.
and Dave.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a video in a suit and talk about it like it's the MVP. I'm gonna thank Nike. I'm gonna thank my parents. I want to thank Dave
Your mom.
for supporting me in my Gotham.
Sneakers app. You the real MVP.
Sneakers app. You know, I hate you most of the time, but I love
Dave,
you
you have
today.
sneakers? Dave, you have sneakers, Dave? Yeah.
I do not. I think I might have it. I think it might be on my phone still. I think I deleted it, but I think it's still on my phone.
I love when people delete it. It's just like I deleted it.
Yeah, I think people announcing that they deleted it is better than them actually deleting it.
I don't think
that needs to be a backdrop. I deleted instead of I got them. I deleted.
James is brainstorming.
I don't think I've tried on sneakers for anything since. I think the last thing I tried for was the Magnus Walker dunks. Like that was it. That was May.
9 months ago.
June, May.
Yeah, May. Yeah. It's gotta be May.
Yeah.
It's gonna be May.
I can't. Sneakers is just. I don't know. Like there's just. It's a frustration for me. I just try to ignore everything that Nike is going to release through sneakers. Because I feel like there's just no shot. I haven't won anything on sneakers since French Blue 12s.
So in Canada, we just got that window. So it used to be, we don't have sneakers. We have an app. It's not an app. It's like sneakers. They call it sneakers, but it's not sneakers. And it used to be like 6 a.m. or 10 a.m., whatever the hell the time was. It would drop and it would sell out right away. Now there's like a window. So there's 15 minutes. I think that's what sneakers is, right? You just tap in and then you wait. The draw. Thank you. So we just got that and it's 6 a.m. And I'm actually up, believe it or not, most drop days. And I don't mess with it. So I don't think I'd mess with sneakers either. It seems too.
That's my. I mean, it's
frustrating.
It's 10 seconds out of my day, and
yeah, easy.
90% of the shit they post, I don't want anyway. So it's just like, yeah, I might as well.
I don't like the whole like interaction piece of it. Like
I
I've
don't
done
do
it.
that.
Like,
that doesn't exist to me.
So like I've done the interactions where I've watched all the videos, I've liked and commented on all of the posts, everything that they put up. Nothing. So like for me, it's like, well, now you just wasted my time. So that makes me even more upset, right? Like
I get that.
So I'm like, you waste like, and people, who was it? Someone was like, oh yeah, people at work do it. I see people just like have their phone up, they're just constantly clicking on a new video from sneakers, and then they hit. I'm like, who has a job that they could do that at? Like, please tell me, let me know, because I can't do that. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. That's, I don't know. I feel like they want sneakers to be a social media app in some ways because they just want you to keep coming back. But I'm like, there's no incentive for me to do that. Like, I haven't won anything, so there's no point in me doing it. So, yeah.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Now we know why he's mad at the bottom screen.
I'm not mad at the goddamn screen. Just don't front like sneakers is. Don't front like we giving sneakers all this love right now. Like it did something for us. It didn't do anything, right? It still beats you 12 months of the year.
I think there's some internalized trauma here, Dave.
Like
some
it's like
sneaker
sneakers
trauma.
love me. No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
It doesn't at all. There's some trauma here, Dave, and I'm here to
Bad
talk with you
advice.
about it whenever you want.
No,
That
the
is
relationship
sneakers.
analogy is a good one because you see it. People getting mad one day, happy the next. I mean, we all know how that happens in relationships.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's why I made the video of it. I was like, this is literally a really bad and toxic relationship. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I love you, I hate you. That's sneakers in a nutshell.
Yeah, I'm not. I think I have to bring it back just because I do have to get a pair of cool gray 11s. But I will not be sharing. I will not be sharing my got 'em screen.
Don't worry, I'll make one for you.
Just know that I got them.
I
I'm
hope
gonna
so.
superimpose your face on the bottom screen. It's gonna
I
be
don't want
great.
to see you post the L. That's even worse when you post the L. Those people are really not happy.
Yeah, I don't. I try not to post L's. I've never really done that, but
See
I
James
used
is
to,
how
but
sad
I
he is when he
stopped.
does the
Just
L
too many.
videos. Those L videos make me sad, James, when you post them.
There's just so much fun. It's such an easy thing to make videos on, like content-wise, because you're like,
No, they're awesome. They're awesome.
they make me. I enjoy it because it's like I'll never understand being that pissed off that you didn't hit a pair of shoes, or that excited because you got a pair. Like I get excited when I hit, but never to the point where it's like crazy. Like I've seen some people that you think they just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then you see some people that are so angry that they'll throw things or break things so they don't get the shoe. And I'm like, dog, it's never that serious, but it makes for great content to make fun of it.
Well, on that note, I gotta go get some sleep. But I appreciate you guys jumping on. Always great to talk, chat, chop it up. Hopefully I have some new topics soon and we can chop it up again. Till then, any last words?
Don't think
There's one more cool gray drop, so there's a lot more Gothams coming, my friend.
One more. There might be two more. And we know how Nike loves their restocks.
Don't fall for the early access. Any brand, they're all doing it. Make sure you want the shoe, or do what I did and just fall for it.
As you just bought the concept.
We'll see what happens.
I know. I had given up on that pair. It's funny because I had given up on that pair, and then they like invoiced me, and I'm like, oh. All right.
Yeah, you even said, "Oh, it's okay. I'm selling another pair." I love that one. That's a good one. I'm selling. It's okay. I'm gonna sell some. I actually said the same thing. I think I said, "Oh, I just sold some stuff."
Yeah.
What stuff? What did I sell?
No, I literally.
It's in my head. It's in my head.
I literally did. I literally posted stuff for sale. I sold 992s. I sold 2 pairs of 992s. So
Hope it wasn't on an app.
no, it wasn't. Thank goodness.
That was fun, guys.
But who's making $600?
On 992s.
Ricco is.
Nope.
I should have sent them to Ricco. I should have sent them to you so you could clean them and sell them.
I would have given you a cut. I'd give you 10% finder's fee, or I would have taken a 10% finder's fee. Cleaning fee, goat clean.
I gotta connect with you on some stuff. I gotta move.
Let me know, fam.
Yeah.
It's all going to be private transactions now. So
Yes, friends or family, everything.
That's right. All day.
that's the name of the app, Friends and Family.
Friends and family, yep. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. This was fun.
All right,
Yeah,
fellas.
definitely. Take care, guys.
All right, later.
Thanks.
Take care, guys.